Will you join me in prayer? May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be acceptable and pleasing in your sight, O God, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. While they were talking about this, Jesus himself stood among them and said to them, "Peace be with you." Jesus is risen, and as you can imagine, people are talking among themselves. Some have seen him, others have just heard. People are feeling a mix of emotions: startled, terrified, doubtful, afraid, hesitantly excited. I imagine the disciples also feeling some guilt, remembering their betrayal of him. And yet, to those who rejected him, denied him, abandoned him at this most crucial and vulnerable time, the first words Jesus says to them in Luke and John after his resurrection is the greeting, "Peace be with you." And he says this 4 times in different gatherings. And as you can imagine, there is a lot at stake for Jesus at this time, desiring to leave the people he encounters with the feelings and words he would want them to remember most. And in this moment, with the words, "Peace be with you," and the conversation that follows, it's almost an embodiment of the message he has come to share and leave with them. That my peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. So Jesus, the one who until very recently was dead, breathes life and peace into the disciples, offering much needed relief in the midst of a fearful time. Peace be with you is akin to the Hebrew shalom. It is a traditional Jewish and Arabic greeting and farewell, as well as a common greeting among early Christians. The Greek word we normally use for peace is eirene, which means rest, quietness, one. And its root word, eiro, means binding and joining together again that which has been separated. In our every instance of greeting, of saying, "Peace be with you," it is almost an invitation to restoration of whatever we might feel angst about in that moment, of God meeting us wherever we are. In Jesus greeting them with the words, "Peace be with you," in the context of all that is going on, it almost serves a restorative function and an assurance of their lovability and enoughness. Maybe this remembrance of peace is what Jesus came to leave them with. Greetings are transformative, and words and greetings have an impact on us. They are orienting and disorienting. It's like, how do you say the words, "Peace be with you," and not feel grounded, kinder, feel better? I'm sure you've had an experience where you're feeling anxious, uncertain, doubtful, assuming an unfavorable response given what you've said or done. And then that person receives you with a loving and caring embrace. It leaves you rattled in a good way. And those are the feelings you remember and leave with. And the loving embrace that we hopefully extend to others. And I imagine the disciples at the end of it pondering Jesus' embrace of them might have been changed in this way. Our greetings say a lot about our theology and our beliefs. One of my teachers, James Cone, took it as far as to say, if you want to know who a person is, see who they greet. There's something about greeting that is deeply powerful. It is an acknowledgement of the presence of another. Greetings ask us to pause, check in, take stock, and something about another person greeting us invites us into our own humanity. We feel something in us come alive. We are seen and acknowledged. To greet someone is to acknowledge their humanity, their story, the journey they're on. It's a deeply dignifying act. At home in South Africa, normally if you start talking to someone without greeting them, they won't respond back. They'll just sit there and watch you until it clicks to you that you have not acknowledged their presence. And only after you extend a greeting can we now enter into a mutual conversation. And so if you see someone over and over again, you just keep greeting them. There's also a greeting in the Zulu language, sawubona, which literally means, I see you. And the other person responds, I am here. What if in our greetings there is more we are doing than we could ever imagine? It could be that in our greeting people, for some it's the first time in a long time they feel loved, wanted, seen. In our church services, the moment of greeting, peace be with you, is also the one time in the service where we might greet someone new, someone we haven't seen in a while, someone we wouldn't ordinarily greet. And here is a moment in church ritual that has been created to acknowledge the humanity of another. So the head nod, the peace sign, the wave, the smile, the bowing, the elbow greeting, the hello, shalom, peace be with you. In this, we are saying, I see you and I acknowledge your presence and I wish for you well-being. I invite you to notice for yourself who you greet and who you don't greet, and what it might look like to take on a practice of greeting as a way to ground ourselves and others in peace. I believe those who knew our dear Sister Joyce will remember her for her greetings, the warmth of her presence, the tenderness of her embrace, the depth of her eyes, the welcome of her smile, her showering with kisses. She embraced many under her protective wing. She greeted them with her deep, loving presence. She said these words, whatever our burdens are, we are blessed. She was known to say things such as, I feel bountifully blessed, and in all things give thanks. It is well with my soul. In her life, we remember her embodiment of peace. In a writing by Joyce, she reminds us that perhaps the miraculous does lie in the everyday. She writes, we can live in the Christian life in so many ordinary ways by the simplest of actions. Because of my love for the things of God, I am encouraged daily to continue His work in my little way of being a witness to the masses and living my purpose each and every single day. And so she did. Oh, Joyce, you lived a deep and faithful life. You have found deep peace and rest in the loving arms of God. May the peace of God be with you. Perhaps in this Eastertide, we can begin to take up more of Jesus' first words after his resurrection. Peace be with you. This way of new life as a way to establish a new order of life. In this resurrection life, it seems the miraculous lies in the seemingly mundane. The day-to-day, moment-to-moment of greeting people where they're at, acknowledging the presence of another, dignifying and humanizing people with the sacred act of greeting. Peace be with you. Pass it along in the chat, text it to a friend, say it to someone sitting next to you. May the peace of God be found in you. May Jehovah Shalom, the God of peace, be with you, today and always. Amen.